Sorry, I can't hear you. You seem muted.
Yeah, I'll just play the countdown one more time and then
Okay.
we'll start after. Okay.
All right, sure thing. All right, cool.
All right. So thank you guys so much for joining our live today. Today we're live with Eli, and he's going to introduce himself very shortly. But thank you for joining our live talk on getting unstuck in your career growth. My name is Claudia, and I'm the founder and host of today's live. And I would love to find out where you're joining us from because I believe that we have a wide audience from all over the world. So please drop your name and your country in the chat when you join us. And yes, this is going to be a Q&A session. So please feel free to ask your questions and then we will take them throughout the talk. So today, Eli is going to be presenting on two scenarios. He's going to give us a little bit more details about that. So I'm just going to stop talking and allow Eli to introduce himself, and then we'll get started. So over to you, Eli.
All right. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
All right, awesome, good. So I don't know if I should just dig into the presentation straight away to talk because I would introduce myself in the talk. So I'm thinking jump straight in
Okay.
there. All right,
Okay.
cool,
Okay.
cool, cool.
So let me do a little bit on NOL, and then you can do the
Sure, no problem.
introduction in about 1 minute. Yeah. So if it's your first time joining an NOL Live event, NOL stands for No Ordinary Life, and we are basically a careers motivation platform which looks to inspire people to pursue their passions, goals, and talents, and to unleash their potential because we believe that everyone has so much potential within them, and we just want to see everyone doing their best in life and to discover their purpose, and just live their purpose. Because once you live your purpose, you're not an ordinary person. You're actually, I guess, you're superhuman in a way, or you feel like a superhuman. So we just want people to be content in their life by living their passions and using their skills and talents. So that's what we are. So yeah, that's No Ordinary Life. And just in case you were looking to get more involved with No Ordinary Life, you can follow us on our socials, on our Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, which we're actually streaming on today. And if you wanted to, show that you're no ordinary lifer, we have our merchandise as well. So I've got my merchandise here, No Ordinary Woman. And yeah, just go on our link tree and you'll be able to see all of the links to our merchandise. So I'm not going to talk for too long. Eli is ready, set, and he's about to get going. So Eli, welcome and take the stage.
Thank you. All right. Let me share my screen and then we can dive in. All right. Okay, the screen is still loading. All right, good. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's talk. My name is Eli Nartey, and I believe that keep things beyond our only if we have the right knowledge and that talk to help you strategies, tools, and knowledge to get unstuck in their career growth and achieve the goals that you always want. So, with that said, let us begin. So, the aim and objective of today's talk, by the end of this talk, the audience would have practical step by step strategies to move from where they currently are to where they want to be in their career growth in due time. Objectives. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and why you listen to me in the first place. If you're like me, you're always standing in front of you has actually lived that personal painful experience to produce those and that Claudia talked about in the beginning. Basically, we have a scenario where a student did really well in school, graduated, but now they're struggling to find a job. They just getting no after no. Second scenario, basically where somebody is at a workplace device, their wasted potential is and move maximize their potential. We'll also talk about those that scenario. The third is where I'm going to now share personal. So the structure basically is I'm going to share a personal story from my own life. Then from the story, I'll pull out a lesson. Then after that, I will suggest use to apply those and then take question and answers. All right? Does that sound good?
It does.
I'm a creative entrepreneur. What I simply do is I create African creative resources that and design teams. So to get a simple metaphor to help people understand, it's like, let's say a car, all right? I create the car parts, then another factory comes, takes those car parts, puts together a beautiful and fully functional vehicle that achieves the goal of either moving people or goods from one. So that's basically what I do. I create and use for their content, whether social media posts or even presentations like this. Something that was designed for my studio. So those are the kind of things that I create businesses can use. All right. I'm a follower like him in thought, in actions. That is I do have a lot of personal experience from moving from stuck to purpose driven. So I'm going to be sharing that. That's what this entire is about. 6 lessons. All right. And I am okay. Claudia, is it audio is okay?
Yes, the audio is good. You're breaking up a little bit, but it's good. We can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Okay, seems there might be a bit of let me log off and then resume and let's see how that goes.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so Eli is just having a few technical problems. As usual with a live, there's always going to be some technical difficulties, but we'll be back running. You can hear us loud and clear. And yes, please introduce yourself in the chat, your name and where you're joining us from. I am Claudia and I'm based in the UK, Ghanaian by origin. So I'm happy to see people from Ghana here and hopefully I'll get to see you soon. Right now, The weather here is very, very cold. I believe it was -2 degrees last night. So we're all wrapped up and just trying to stay indoors. And if we're outdoors, then we're very, 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 very wrapped up because it's not easy. Eli has just done his introduction and he should be coming back soon. Let's see, I'll take him off for now. He should be coming back soon, but thank you so much for joining. I believe some of you are joining us from LinkedIn, some from YouTube. And if you happen to be on LinkedIn, please do follow our page. It's No Ordinary Life org. I'll type it in the chat. That's us on LinkedIn. And also on YouTube, we are still No Ordinary Life TV. So you should be able to find us on both our social media. And yes, Michael, thank you so much for joining us from Ghana. Lots of people from Ghana here. Thank you so much. And yes, we're talking about getting unstuck in your career growth. So Eli is back now.
What happened?
Yeah, you were
What
breaking up.
happened?
Yeah, you were breaking up a bit, but the audio was clear, but the visual wasn't changing. Like it was just stuck
The video
on.
was choppy.
Yeah,
Okay,
but the
so
audio was.
where did I drop off?
You were at the slide with you like this, and we're talking about
Okay.
how you're, creative entrepreneur.
Okay. So let me continue from there then. All right. I was fortunate that my wife texted me and told me that it's breaking. So that's when I came and then I realized that everything is blank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
So it should.
you in case of anything, you can just maybe text me on WhatsApp and then so in case I drop off or there's any.
Okay, cool. I'll use the private chat as well.
All right, cool.
Okay. Oh. All right. I'm gonna go off.
All right. So 2, 1. So yes, moved from stuck to driven career. And what this whole talk is, I'm going to be sharing 6 stories, 6 lessons from those and the strategies I went through to achieve that result. And finally, I'm married to an amazing, beautiful, charming, delightful, elegant, funny, God-given wife who is logged on and help notify me when I'm working so often. We have the first scenario, all right? So let me just, I want to, is the video good? Is the audio good?
You're good. You're good. Breaking up
All
a
right,
bit,
good.
but
So,
it's okay. You can keep going.
okay. All right. So, 2 scenarios. First, where you did that in school, maybe first class or second class upper, or you did quite decent in school. Now you finished. They told you to work hard, study hard, be serious in school, and you get a job. But you're done. What's going on? You're struggling to get a job. You just keep on no after no, sending your CV. This is really a transition from the first scenario into the second, where you are now at the workplace, you are enjoying some form of freedom. You now have some extra cash to spend to buy certain, but then slowly you start feeling very engaged in. You start feeling like your skills are not really being utilized. You feel like I could do better than this. I could do better than this. Yes. You feel like, am I talk about? Scenario 1, academically excellent graduates struggling to find work. 52,000 Ghana cedis. Well, I did, and to do so. 2013 in Kenya. I was studying, and when I go and get a job. So all the way back in second year, there was this company I was showing up. Long vacation, short vacations, national service, weekends. I was showing up every single day, working, working. In the hopes that in 2016 or 2015, to give me that national service or a job. 2015 give you, and when you're done with your national service, would employ you. So I was like, okay, no, cool, no problem. CSR, and I keep on showing up. I was skipping it. They will employ me. 2016, my national service. I go, and it's one story after the other, after the other, after the other. You have to keep in mind that I'm still showing up. I'm still coming to site every single day. I'm using whatever little money is left from the national service to transport myself. And so that the reception for several hours, hoping that that'll be the day I'll get my application. Kept on going on week himself, and he was like, I should come next year. And before I put in that, calm down. They said next year. And they're like, oh, okay, no problem. Next year, okay, that's fine. And it was heartbreaking because if I had been put, it was so bad that when I was sitting at the reception, they were like, hey, Eli, what's up? Hey, Eli, what's up? And they had put from 2000 several sites, it's like I was already in the company, but I wasn't actually in the company. So it was a big blow for me. And I was thinking, if this company that I have delivered this much value is not going to employ me, how much more could a perfect stranger company who I'm going to send my CV? So naivety, start my own thing. All right. I said yes to everything, every gig, every project, every meeting, yes to everything. No job was too small, too big. But then I very first ended there about Fiverr, passport picture, and said he wants me to do something like this, but he sent me a different picture. I should change the date of birth, the name, and the expiring date. Initially, I didn't really get it, and that's something I could do in Photoshop. I didn't really get it, so I asked for clarification, and then he clarified, and I realized that, oh wow, he actually wanted me to falsify passports, and he was going to pay me $5 per passport. Keep in mind, this was back in 2016, and he was going to be sending hundreds every week. So you could imagine how much money that was. And keep in mind, the boy is broke, the boy is hustling. But no. Yes, you finish school. You're applying for it's to be within your code of ethics. It should be within code of ethics that can at least cover your basic living expense. And this is very important. And this is how I share strategy with you on how I went about this. Okay, because there's been trust me, just about 2 or 3 months ago, I had another offer, and that was way higher. Okay, but they expect to create certain designs that they are not it's not in my code of ethics, so I had to turn it down. There was another opportunity where probably my biggest so far, where the creative director wanted me to create certain sound, and I didn't want my name on that project. I didn't want my name in the credit on that project. So I wrote down everything. I really struggled for 7 months to say this thing because this is a lot of money. So I wrote down to say, called him up. I told him that I don't feel confident in this project, painting Christianity. I stepped down ever since then. These are the kind of things you need to imagine. You need to have a code of ethics as you go out there in your sort of desperation, saying yes to everything, but you need to know what to say no to. Certain work might be fraudulent, it might be illegal. In your desperation, I know you're desperate. I know it feels like your back is against the wall. Code of ethics that I want you to do in your industry. Okay, you can look at LinkedIn, you can look at Google search for more. And so LinkedIn, what I want you to do with LinkedIn is if there's a particular tool that you use in your profession, that tool. If maybe you use Microsoft Word, I want you to type in Microsoft Word in your, but probably there'll be a more specific tool to your profession in the LinkedIn searches, and then turn on a job alert. So when with that, okay, a developer or graphic designer, you can type in, Photoshop. All right. To you come specific, and you can get it far easier than ambiguous jobs that you read, and realize that for tools I don't use. Join industry specific software engineer job boards specific to, let's say, something like front end developers, okay, or back end developers, or graphic designers or logo designers. You get very industry specific, so you know that whenever a job is posted, there's a high likelihood that it's within your skill set. Okay, you can also join Telegram groups. The second thing that I want you to do is to start applying for jobs outside of your industry, preferably in sales. This is and negotiate, let's say, a policy, insurance policy or something, but then you always have to share or come across. And that, regardless of the field you find yourself, you still need to learn a logic in action. I said, has this ever happened to you before? Let's say you want to buy a new phone, and then you do your research for several weeks. Eventually, you figure out the phone you want to buy. You call up a friend and go like, "Hey, so this is the phone I want to buy." And they're like, "You want to buy this phone? Ah, this phone sucks. This phone is a bomb." Immediately, just your entire plan. That is the emotional aspect of sales. And then there is a logical aspect. Okay, so you need to. I don't. They'll need to know those basic things as you progress in your career. Literally, I have this is actually going to help. So, in your job search, you can use things known as "If I Worked for You" job video. I got this idea from this YouTuber, this YouTuber who talks a lot about productivity. He's called Ali Abdal, and an open position on his and something that really stood out for him, and that's what he wanted to talk about this presentation. He has about 3.7 5 in that picked and why he picked the person. And he said, he was getting so many written CVs. People were just writing stuff. But there was this one guy who recorded a short video of himself explaining certain issues or problems he's found in his channel and how he could help. Give actions. So that's something that you could probably do. What usually that company services. Then build the solution for that client. Put together a very short presentation and add it to your CV. What you could do is go YouTube, make the video under your name, and then let them know that this is a video where I talk about 2 to 3 minutes about certain areas of improvement I have found in your business of how I can help. Repeat the link at the bottom once again, so that you're really pushing them to click the link and watch the video. All right. And it will immediately you will stand out, because how many people are actually doing those if I work for you videos? All right. Then the fifth thing is stay true to your code of ethics, as I talked about. So you need to understand what are your code of ethics. If we had a camera that was following you for, let's say, 3 months, recording your every decision, your every indecision, we don't need a super smart person to realize that there are certain patterns by which you behave and by which you think. Those are basically your principles or code of ethics by which you live and work. I want you to become more aware of those things. Before you take a decision, ask yourself, why am I taking this decision? What do I hope to achieve? And then dig further and further and further and write down the things that you learn about yourself and how you function and how you think. So that when you're offered certain things that are not in your code of ethics, you can say no. All right? I hope we are there. I hope we are getting it. Hello? Just checking in real quick with you.
Yes, good. It was breaking up a little bit, but I think it's better now.
All right. Interesting. Okay, let's move on. We shall persevere amidst all obstacles. Good. So my second story, drawing with a computer mouse. When I started my, let's say, art career, I didn't really have the graphics tablet that I had now, expensive graphics tablet I had now. The laptop that I had like half of the screen cracked and the ink had spread and everything. It was a laptop that I borrowed from my brother, who borrowed it from my elder sister. So that laptop was about 12 years old, had about 20 gig of total hard disk memory, and about 60% of that was already taken. So the laptop was super slow, it was super old, but I kept on working with it. I kept on getting gigs with it. The little gigs I could get. I kept on working with the mouse because I was like, at least I can use the pen tool in Photoshop with the mouse to get some illustrations and portraits done, and I can make some coins. Right. So that is one mindset that I want you to have, that regardless of what is going on where you are right now, I want you to start creating some form of value. I really want you to start creating some form of value. And you don't have to wait for perfect conditions. So that's our lesson 2. Don't wait for perfect conditions to start. Conditions would never be perfect. So you have to start. Simple as that. And the exercise that I have for you is this. The first thing I want you to do is accept the fact that conditions will never be perfect. Unfortunately, a lot of people have this illusion that there's a deal out there in the world that has 100% benefits and 0% cost. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that doesn't exist. There's no decision out there that has 100% benefits and 0% cost. It will always cost you something, and you would have to compromise. You have to optimize with whatever you have at that point in time. Okay, so that's something I want you to repeat to yourself several times, over and over and over again, that conditions will never be perfect. I need to start anyway. Prioritize your life. See what's important that will help you move forward towards finding the job that you need and focusing on those things. Don't wait. You're waiting for the stars to align. It's not going to happen. Okay. The second thing I want you to do is to ask yourself, what is the smallest unit of solution I can build? And then start immediately. What is the smallest unit of solution I can build and start immediately? Let me give you an example. When I actually started in 2016 my art career, what I actually wanted to do was not to start a studio. I wanted to start an art and animation school because I decided, okay, from that point in time, I wanted to become a professional artist, professional concept artist. So I started looking at schools in Ghana. But when I was looking at the quality of student work, I was like, nah, there's no way I'm going to these schools. Most of them, the quality of student art was just, it was not impressive in my opinion. So I said, okay, I see a need in the market. I'm going to build an art animation school that produces students or graduates that can compete on a global level. But then you see, that was the big grand idea. And I asked myself, what is the smallest unit of value of that I could create? So you're thinking big, but you're starting small. So at that point in time, I remember that there was one artist who was always bugging me that he wanted to learn motion graphics. So I called him up, I arranged a 2 hour class with him. We met at Shell filling station at the one at airport. Bought some pineapple juice for us with the little money that I had, and we did the class. And at the end of the 2 hour, he had a beautiful motion graphic. I was actually impressed for his portfolio piece. So that's an example of what I'm talking about, small units of value. So even though I'm imagining a big university, big arts center with thousands of students working on campus and me being a lecturer teaching 50, 60 people in a class, what is the smallest unit? So one-on-one tutorial, get that done. So look at yourself right now. What is the smallest? I know you have big, crazy, ambitious dreams. What is the smallest unit of it? Like, really, and sometimes whatever comes to mind first, break it down further. What is the smallest unit of that? Start immediately. Don't wait for conditions to be perfect. Because what? They're never going to be perfect. Story number two. Story number three, sorry. Show yourself you're serious. Show yourself you're serious first. So back in 2016, as I was trying to get a job at that construction company, by 6 I'll be home. I get home, I wash my face, I'll go to sleep. I'll wake up around 9:30, 10, have something to eat. Then I'll practice all the way to about 2 to 3 a.m. Get some sleep, wake up about like 5:36, and then get ready for work. And as I was doing all these things, my dad was observing me. He said that this kid is serious. This kid is serious because like to show up every evening practicing over and over and over again. I was doing it because I told myself that sorry, like nobody's going to save you, Eli. Nobody's going to save you. You have to be serious about this thing yourself. You have to show up every day and practice. And that's what I was doing. So eventually he said that I was quite serious about this thing. I was not joking about it. It was not something that was going to die out anytime soon. And that's when he invested in getting me a graphics tablet. So the graphics tablet that I use right now for all my work, it was my dad who got it for me, largely because he saw that I was serious about what I had chose to do. All right. So before the graphics, so this is like May 2016. All right. Can you see my screen though? I want to make sure that everything is working well. All right, cool. So this is like May 2016 before I got the graphics tablet. Okay, just practicing. After I got the graphics tablet, this is about like 5 months of practice. And you could see a big change in the quality of art that I was producing. And that was largely because I told myself I need to be serious about this thing. Okay, so wherever you find yourself right now, whatever you choose to do, like bring 1,000% to it. Bring 1,000% because you never know who's watching and who might reach out to help you. So don't be like this lackadaisical about it. Really be serious about it. Okay. Good. So that brings me to lesson 3. Show helpers you are serious, but first, show yourself. The action exercise, I want you to block out time in your calendar every single day to work on your project. Remember, I know you have a big dream. Break it down to the smallest unit of value. Block that out in your calendar every single day. Show up, practice, work on it. If it's a fictional client you've put together, which mimics the kind of clients that the company you're going to be working for would be working for or be servicing, create that, work on the project, share it on YouTube, share it on Instagram, share it on LinkedIn. Show up every day and work on it. Block out that time. I use Google Calendar largely because it's free. If you have a Gmail account, yeah, you're in. And because he also has the app feature, so if an idea pops up real quick, I can open up the app on my phone, key it in, and I move, right? Number two, be ready to sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. I was reading this book, I think about 2 weeks ago. So You Want to Be Like Christ by Charles Swindoll. And he gives a beautiful definition of what sacrifice means. So sacrifice means giving up something for something better. Giving up something for something better. I like to also define it as giving up something good for the sake of something better. So as you're showing up every day, probably at odd hours, working on your project, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be painful, it's going to be unpleasant. But remember, sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. All right? It's probably going to be a short period of time where you have to do this thing. It is not going to be the rest of your life. So show up and work on the project. Number three, I want you to build in public if you can. So building in public basically means like what Claudia and I did as we were putting together this talk. We had a prep talk. We got clips of it and we shared it. So we were building it, but then we were sharing whatever we were building in public. So it was getting traction, it was getting people's attention as a form of marketing. So that's something that I want you to do if you can. As you are building out these projects, just clip parts of it, share it on LinkedIn, share it on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever it is, as a means of also advertising the skill sets that you have. Number four, as you build in public, I want you to really remember this thing. To keep the main goal the main goal. The main goal is not to look good. The main goal is to achieve the main goal. And the question is, what is the main goal? The main goal is to show prospective hires that you have a set of skills that can solve a problem that is currently prevailing in their workplace. So if they hire you, you could actually solve that problem because you are actually spending time every single day to solve that problem. I hope we got that. Okay. You are solving that problem or you know how to solve that problem and you are advertising that. The main goal is not to look all flashy and look like you've arrived and you've established. No, 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 no. Those are byproducts. The main thing is, I am a problem solver for this specific problem. See me do this. Okay? Good. Let me take a sip of water and just quickly check in with you, Claudia. How's everything going? And then we'll move on to the next lesson.
Good. Yeah, it's going really
Awesome.
good so far. Yeah.
All right, great. We'll do a quick recap and then move on to scenario two. So the first lesson, remember. So right now, if you're listening to me right now, you finish school, you're trying to get a job, you just keep on hearing no, 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 no. The first lesson I want you to do is try and find a job, any job. Okay, and it has to be a decent job within your code of ethics. So what I'm saying is, I know some of you are saying, you want to work at this kind of company with this kind of pay, with this kind of people, and it's not happening now. And you are still at home. And my plea to you is the jobs that you're getting, the places that they're calling you, you do the math and you realize that okay, this kind of covers your basic living expenses and leaves a little for some discretionary spending. I really urge you to apply to those places, especially if it's not some fraudulent or mischievous business. Apply to those places. And when you're there, don't stop. Don't stop. Continue working on your skill sets. Continue building your CV. Continue building your portfolio. Don't see that place as a final destination. See it as a transit to that big job that you've been wanting to get, which is still delaying. Okay, so that's the first lesson. Find a job, any job right now. Remember, the goal is not to look good. The goal is to achieve the goal. Don't worry about getting a job that might seem like people might make fun of you or laugh at you, whatever it is. In your attempt to achieve anything great, you would stumble, you would fall, you would look silly, you look confused, you look inexperienced. It is all part of the process. All the people who have come before you have taken that path. That is it. So lesson one, please apply to any decent job. Have your code of ethics. Certain jobs that are fraudulent, mischievous, no. Lesson two, don't wait for perfect conditions to start. Start immediately. Okay, if you're at home, be learning, be reading books, be joining webinars if you can. Continue building on yourself. I know it's tough. I know the rejections are hard. It's like, why doesn't the world want me? I know it's hard, but this is just a period in your life. And I want you to understand something, that I believe that most of you who have logged on right now have big dreams for yourself. And what you have to come to realize that those people who achieve those big dreams that you have, they have a set of skills, a set of a framework, a system that deals with how do we overcome challenges. So this is the perfect opportunity for you to start building your framework on handling challenges. Because the thing is that you will keep on getting challenges. It's not that I'm wishing bad for you, but that's just how life is. You keep on getting challenges after challenges after challenges. And if you don't have a framework to overcome challenges, to quickly bounce back, once a challenge hits you, you slow down. Then it takes several months or years for you to pick up again, and then you start, and you get hits, and then you slow down. So these are the perfect conditions for you. Yes, you are home. You keep on getting no. Learn how to build resilience. This is the perfect opportunity for you to build resilience. So get a project, work on the project, and keep on moving. The lesson number 3 is be serious about whatever you pick to do, because you never know who is watching. You never know who might reach out there and help you, or who might connect you. Okay, some people are just watching to see if you're serious. All right, good. So scenario 2, you are an employee, you feel underutilized, you feel like you're wasting your time, you're wasting your talent, you're wasting your gifts. You feel stuck at work. You feel like time is just passing, and if you stay here, the next 20, 30 years, when you retire, you are not going to be proud of who you have become. This session is for you.
All right.
So,
Sorry, Eli.
same destination.
Sorry, Eli. Just wanted to check that everyone is okay, and if there are any questions before we move to the
Okay, sure.
second
All
scenario.
right, no
Yeah.
problem.
So please, please put your questions in the chat. If you have any questions regarding what's been mentioned so far. There's quite a lot of information, good information coming, but I just wanted to find out if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And in the meantime, I'll read a few comments. Is that okay?
Sure, no problem.
Okay. I'll keep the slide. I'm just gonna for a few seconds. So I'll go through a few comments here. I'll start from. Okay, so someone says, show yourself you are serious. Yes, definitely show yourself you're serious. A very good point. That was from lesson 2, isn't it? Lesson 2. Show yourself you're serious.
Exactly.
Um, Same person also says, sometimes finding the basic job is also quite difficult. Yeah, can be difficult. Yeah. Any comments for that one, Eli?
Okay. Okay, sure. So, yeah, I even forgot to share this part. So, when I talked about sales, right? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember I talked about sales, right? So, my wife was in the same situation where she finished national service and she applied for a sales job. So she was selling sales insurance policies, and that's when we realized that sales jobs are always opening. There's always roles for sales representatives, you know. So if you're struggling to get a job, maybe you should consider that. And I know it's, you'll be going out on the streets, seems like you're begging people to sign your policy and all that. But eventually, if you keep on showing up, refining your pitches, you get good at it. You will get good at it, and you would have mastered a skill that will set you apart from so many people. Trust me, so many people. So yeah, sales jobs are always open. One thing that I recommend for people is take a look at the softwares that you use most on your laptop, on your mobile phone. See if they have an affiliate program. See if they have any sales or business development representative roles. Okay, so those positions are usually always open. You can apply for that and you earn a commission every time you make a sale. All right. And now all of a sudden you are going to be representing a brand that you actually use. So now when you sell, you are selling from a place of first-hand experience. You're not necessarily just chewing and pouring some scripts that they give to you. This is a product you use weekly or monthly, and you are now sort of a paid marketer for them. So that's something I'm just doing out there. Just look at the softwares that you use or the products that you use. See if they have any form of marketing or referral program, and yeah, jump on it.
Right. Thank you very much, Eli.
All right.
Um,
You're
uh,
welcome.
Someone also says, thanks for the lessons, Edmund. And Gifty also says, I just joined and then she's learning a lot. So thank you. So thank you all so much
Awesome.
for staying on. And please continue to share your comments and questions in the chat. And Eli, you can continue with scenario 2. I'll just put it on now.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, good. So scenario two, employee feeling underutilized at work. What do you do? Good. So permit me to be so Christian for the next couple of minutes, but it's very important. So about 2 years ago, I was asking myself the simple question that, Eli, why do we set goals? Like I was asking myself, why do I set goals? Then I got an answer. Then I said, why? And then why? And then why? And I just kept on going, why? I wanted to find out what is the core reason why I set goals in the first place. You see, and I came to this conclusion, and I've asked a few people, and most people I have asked, what I've realized is that the reason why most of us set goals is because we want to live the best version of our life. That is it. We don't want to look back some 40, 50, 60 years from now and go like, I wasted my life. I wasted my potential. I'm very disappointed in the choices I made. I made very poor, silly decisions. Most people don't want that. That's why they are setting goals to live that life where they are proud of. But immediately something happens. Immediately you say that you are picking this path because it will help you to live the best version of your life. Then you are implying that you've seen all other possible paths that you could live your life. But that is impossible because no human being can see all possible paths and outcomes of those paths for your life. There's only one person who can do that. There's only one being who can do that, and that is God. So you realize that at the end of the day, you keep on going back to Him. Everything goes back to Him because if if you want to live the best version of your life, then you need to speak to the person who can see all possible outcomes of your life and goes like, okay, pick this one because this will give you the best version of your life. So the moment I realized that literally God and I are saying the same thing, but we're just using different definitions. I want to live the best version of my life. He wants the best for me. He wants to see me live the best version of my life. And that is literally purpose. So when I realized that, I started subjecting every single decision that I wanted to make to His will. As simple as, and it might be silly, but as simple as, like, God, what should I do in this situation? God, what does Scripture say about this? What does the Bible say about this? How have you dealt with other men and women of God in this same situation? So, and you might probably wonder, how is this linked to job or work or whatever? Good. So right now, the scenario is you are stuck at work. You feel like you are being underutilized. The moment you say you feel like you're being underutilized, then that means you've seen your potential, and the potential is not being used to the max. That's the underutilization. So immediately you've implied that you've seen your potential, and where you are is not tapping into that potential. But then the moment you say that, that means you've seen the best outcome of your life. We already established that it's impossible for a human being. So you realize that you have to go back to Him. And so that means the best form of your life, you need a role model for that. If you want to live the best version of your life, you need to look at someone who has lived the best version of their life, and that will give you like a blueprint on how you can live the best version of your life. And your life includes your work, your spiritual growth goals, your academics, your emotions, your mindset, your relationships, like your finance, your business. That is your life. So if you say best version of your life, that includes everything. And who has lived the best version of life, who has been, in quote, the ultimate human being? And that's Jesus. So, and I'm not trying to force Jesus down your throat or force Christ down your throat, but if you look at the blueprint, if you look at it, it just becomes so obvious that if you want to live the best version of your life, He is your blueprint. And I really got a very good definition of this from Reverend Bernard Yeboah Chumesi. in a live sermon where he shared that Jesus isn't our role model, he's our life model. He's our life model. So, where right now, as you find yourself in your workplace, okay, simply asking yourself, what would Jesus do if he was in your situation? I know it's not a nice question, but he is the one who does everything best. Okay, and the reason why I want us to use that as our base is because who you think you are influences how you behave. Everything that happens to you is translated through an identity of how you perceive yourself. That's why we need to get that identity right, that identity, that foundation, that the identity will serve as our foundation and we build on top of that. Okay, so know why you are setting goals, including your career goals, your business goals. Know why you're setting goals and use that as a base to build everything. Because if your base is weak, it will shake. That is it. Okay. So the first thing I want you to evaluate your identity in light of what we've shared so far. Are you really thinking, acting, and talking like Christ? Do you really have that spirit of excellence that he embodied? You know, I joined this program, Faith Driven Entrepreneur, where they're basically helping Christian entrepreneurs build their businesses like how God wants businesses to be built. And one of the teachers said a very interesting line. He was like, if Jesus was a carpenter, imagine the quality of furniture that came out from his workshop. I strongly doubt there were any wobbly chairs from Jesus's workshop. Spirit of excellence, everything that he did it jeje. So if you have that identity that I am the type of person who whatever I touch, I do it as if I'm doing it for God and not for man. You realize that doors start to open for you because everything you do, you bring 1,000%. So even at your workplace, yeah, you feel underutilized and everything, but like whatever is required of you, you outdo it, and that's something I really want to stress. I know sometimes when you're at a place that you feel underutilized, you don't really bring your best to work. You know, like you just do the basic minimum, something that your boss will be okay with, but like you don't go that extra mile. And this is very important because it ties into the sixth lesson that I'll share. But let's just stay on track. So the first thing is get your identity right. Who are you? Okay, who are you? The second thing is I want you to renew that identity in light of the things that we've shared. So you take the necessary action. If you realize that, you know, I'm the type of person who I tell the truth, but not in certain circumstances. That is not the kind of behavior that will get you to where you want to go. You get my point? Because will Christ do those things? Will Christ cheat, steal, lie, do fraudulent things? It's very important that we get that identity right. The third thing is that establish your why in light of what we've just shared. So now I want you to move on to the fourth point, which is ask yourself, why did you even come in the first place? Why are you there? What was the driving force? What was the goal behind it? What was the mission or vision behind it? If it has changed, what has why has it changed? It's very important. Okay. And you will talk about it. But then the fifth thing is remember God is in everything. God is involved in everything. So that brings me to my second lesson. About in 2019, I had really slowed down on my personal development goal. I was not so conscious about learning. I realized that it was because I started believing in coincidence. I started believing in randomness. And that's why I'm saying that stop believing in coincidence. And this is why. You see, the moment you start believing coincidence, the moment that you believe that things are random, the moment you start believing that God doesn't have a hand in how your life is living, even after you've subjected your life and your will to Him, then you are not learning. Because you right now you're assuming that this thing that is happening is just random, it's just a coincidence. I'm waiting for when God will start teaching me, and then I'll take my notebook and pen and start writing. But the moment you start believing that God is in everything that happens to you, your notebook and pen is always open. Because you believe He's always teaching you something. You believe He's always guiding your footsteps. That's what Psalm 37 tells us, that the steps of the righteous are guided by God. And even if they stumble, they will not fall. Another verse says, if they stumble, He will pick them up. So if you are constantly subjecting whatever decision you made to prayer, you want to make to prayer, seeking God's will, studying scripture, meditating on scripture, staying in Bible believing, Bible practicing fellowship, then it's safe to say that God is in your life. So where you are, and that brings me to my next point, is where you're probably supposed to be. So what I want you to do right now is the lesson 5 is that you are where you're supposed to be. So do whatever is required of you to the best of your abilities, as if you're doing it for God and not for man. Yeah, I know where you are right now might suck and all that, but I want you to realize that if you've been praying for the last 3 years, God, show me the way. God, what should I do? Then you are somewhere right now. Maybe pause and ask yourself that I am where my prayers and grace has brought me. So now lift your head up and ask, what is required of me? And really do it from that identity of Christ. Okay? What if you take a look back at all the uncomfortable, painful, unpleasant situations that have happened to you in your life? As much as you can remember. I know sometimes we just block them out because it was not pleasant. It was traumatic. We don't want to remember it. But usually there's a message in the mess. What should I say? Yeah, there's a message in the there's a testimony in the test. So I want you to look at all of those things, and I want the lessons that that those things have taught you. Next, I want you to map those lessons to skills that you have now that is helping you to serve people on a certain level or to outperform certain people. Now, do you realize that those uncomfortable situations had a seed of a skill? They had a seed of a gift that is now distinguishing you from other people. So what I want you to do now is I want you to just several times keep on hammering it into your mind that I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in what my wife calls God incidents, that God is involved. So you are be present, and whatever is required of you, don't just take it as, oh, a human being is giving it to me. Like, no, this is God's assignment. Let's do this thing well. Even if it doesn't seem like it's in the space of a church, do it well. Okay? It will unlock the doors to so many things. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to see, as you slowly believing that there's a lesson in everything you're going through, even the current unpleasant situation that you are in, the current situation that you feel like you are underutilized, that you're wasting your life. I just want you to really reaffirm that thing that God is involved. If you've been praying about it, He's involved. It makes it easy for you to heal. It makes it easy for you to learn faster and to really build your faith, because your mind is that life is in session. Class is going on. You are taking notes. Nothing is being wasted. Yes, it's painful, but then there's a lesson here. So let's take the lesson. The Eric Thomas says something that don't let your pain go to waste. Get something from it. Don't just go through your pain. Get something from it. Okay. Number 6 is every single time you start slowly going back into negative thought patterns of my life is going to waste. Nothing I do has meaning. I have set myself in a job where I am going to waste the next 10, 20 years of my life. I want you to realize that you are slipping back into old patterns. And I want you to reach into the cookie jar. So the cookie jar basically is things that have happened to you in the past. That is what I talked about. And you've pulled lessons from. Okay, when you have a lot of these things, it becomes hard for things to shake you because you have a first-hand personal experience of God working in your life and molding you. So when you start doubting and stuff, you don't necessarily need another Bible verse or scripture. You have a memory that has that embodiment of you working with God. So it really pushes you. It's you were there when the memory happened. You were the main character. You went through those uncomfortable things and you learned a lesson and it made you better. So right now, when you start doubting and stuff, just go like, no, 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 no. I know this is unpleasant, but everything is happening for the glory of God and for my good. There's a lesson here. Open your eyes and take note, right? Number 7, I want you to build on the side. Okay. I want you to build your next move on the side. So this is very simple. Yes, you are right now somewhere you don't really feel fulfilled, but the question is, you are planning to move to where? where are you going? Because wherever you're going to solve a problem. So that means you're currently solving that problem once again on its smallest unit right now. So what is that? What is that problem you're solving? Please. So when you move, you are moving with skill sets. So three things I want you to have in mind. As you're building this thing on the side, number one, make sure that you can validate the idea, the business idea or your next move. By validation, for me, I say there should be a perfect stranger who gives you at least $1 for it. If a perfect stranger, not your family member, not your friend, perfect stranger you've never ever met before, they saw your marketing ad, they saw whatever piece of content you put out there, and they were like, I think I will need this product. And then they pay for it. Immediately they validated the idea that at least somebody is willing to give you money for it. Number two, the business should be able to take care of itself. So you should be able to calculate the cost of operation. If you're able to meet that or match that or slightly beat that every month, then that means the business can take care of itself. Then the third stage is now the business should be able to take care of itself and take care of you. When you are slowly reaching there, that is when our advice you can now jump ship from wherever you currently are. But then once again, you need to be a problem solver. Because if you're not solving problems and you just, I want to leave, I want to leave, I want to leave where I am, and you just leave, and now you're just hanging in the air, you don't have skill sets that actually authentically solve a problem that the world wants solved, you are in for a rude awakening. And number 8, move. So the last lesson, I want you to fall in love with the problem, not the solution. Fall in love with the problem, not the solution. When I eventually after being a illustrator for a while, freelance illustrator for a while, I eventually applied for 2 jobs, and God being so good, I got the 2 jobs. I had the interviews on the same day, and I got both jobs. Now, what I realized was that during the interview, it was like a group of there was a panel, and they were asking me a lot of questions, back and forth, asking me a lot of questions. And every time I gave an answer to the question, the answer had so much detail. I remember there was one time one of the panelists asked me, okay, so apart from this software, what other software is out there? Or, and I mentioned about 2 or 3 different softwares. Then I mentioned why I use certain softwares and why I dropped certain softwares and I picked certain ones out of the 3 or 4 that I used. So immediately they're like, okay, this kid has been around the block. And that's because on my own, I had been trying to solve that digital marketing problem. So now when it was time for me, and it was time for me to be interviewed by people who are actually also trying to solve that problem, we understood the real problem. And when we're talking, it was like, okay, I see you've been working on this thing. I'm like, yeah, I also see you've been working on this thing. Okay, you come and join us. And that's what I was telling Claudia that, I see the company simply as a group of people who are solving a problem. So when you want to move faster and further, you're simply joining that company or group of people who are solving that problem that you're passionate or you care about. All right? That's what I'm saying. Fall in love with the problem. So every problem has a process. Generally, problem solving, it has a process. And if you're not pushing yourself to really solve the problem at its core, and you're just dilly-dallying, you're just doing the basic minimum so that your boss can, give you your salary at the end of the month, you're just passing time. When you eventually leave to wherever you want to leave, to whatever greener pastures, you will not have the essence of problem-solving skills. So if you're starting your own business, you struggle because now you have to learn the process of genuine problem solving, which takes time. Before you now start, you are creating a product. So you realize that you've set yourself up for a very unpleasant episode of life. So as you are where you are right now, really solve whatever problem is given to you. Okay. So whenever you are placed on a or you give yourself one, I want you to first ask yourself this question: What is the exact problem that this project is trying to solve? What is this singular problem you're trying to solve? Okay, so I'll give you an example of what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm building a marketplace where I'm selling African themed illustrations for marketing and design teams. And the question is, why am I doing that? What is the exact problem I'm trying to solve? The exact problem I'm trying to solve is that marketing and design teams, generally find it very hard to find African themed illustrations and creative resources for their work. There's usually a lot of people who are not of African ethnicity on stock platforms, stock illustrations, and stock photographs. So that is a problem. So if I can create a marketplace that somebody comes in and let's say searches for, African businessman typing at his desk, and search the search results appear. Out of 100 people who type that thing, if 80% of the people are clicking on a result, then maybe I'm getting close to solving the problem. But that's still not good enough. I need to find out if they actually use the resource. So whilst preparing this thing, I just realized that what if I can come up with a hashtag? Let's say the hashtag is um, resources by Inkman. That's the name of my business, Inkman Workshop. So now they use the hashtag on social media, and all right, good. Sorry, I just got a notification. So yeah, we're wrapping up. So I just want you to really narrow down to solving that problem. So now I just want to make sure that people are actually using the resources and I can see it out there in the world that they're using the resources and I know that I'm solving the problem. So now I want you to have that singular metric tied to the problem. What problem, what is the metric for that problem that you can say that we've achieved it or not? It's very, very important. That I know sometimes it's nice to go like, okay, we have 50,000 people who visited our website. Okay, that's good. But then how many people actually spent more than 5 minutes on your website doing the required action that you want? All right. Remember, the main goal is to achieve the main goal. The goal is not to look good. The main goal is to achieve the main goal. The goal is not to look good. And the main goal is to actually solve the problem for your clients. Good. So, number three is find out how other people before you have solved the problem. Find out the pattern. And I want you to just step back. Don't quickly jump into solution. Step back and don't fall into the trap of bandaging instead of giving a cure. Right? If somebody is sick, they don't want painkillers. They want the cause of the sickness to be resolved. So when you step in, focus your mind on we are looking for a cure. Okay. Number five, I want you to create a plan for the problem and put it into action. And this plan has to be a living document. I don't want you to set and forget it. Constantly updating it with new things you're learning. As you're applying it, you are trying, things are working, things are not working. Constantly be going in and updating the living documents. Okay. I also want you to document your process as much as possible. So now you can scale it up, or when you go and work for somebody, they're like, oh, okay. This person is like, they know their stuff. Then number eight, I want you to have a quitting number. I want you to have a quitting number. Don't just say, okay, I'll eventually leave this workplace when, keeping it all vague and safe. No, have a quitting number. Your side business should have made this amount of money, or you are going to quit on this date, or you're going to quit when you should have something specific. Okay, when it's time for you to leave. Other than that, 5 years later, we'll come and find you, and you're one of those people who will be old and grumpy at their workplace and say, I always wanted to leave this place, and then certain things came up, and I've stayed here for the last 40 years. You'll be those old grumpy people at work. Nobody likes those kind of people. So have a quitting number. So your quitting number could even be maybe after I upload 100 episodes, I leave, or after I have published 5,000 assets to the marketplace, or after have something, and it shouldn't be vague. There should be emotions and logic tied to it. If you say I'll leave when I have $1 million, meanwhile when we do the math for how much you spend a month, we multiply by 12, it is nowhere near $1 million. So where did the $1 million come from? So you realize that you write $1 million or say $1 million, and it just disappears. It doesn't mean anything to you. So you need to make sure that there's real math back behind whatever number you use. So when you're falling short, this thing isn't going to happen. And you have to step up. So last thought, and then we'll wrap up. Really, 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 really try and solve problems you take on. Because the more capable you become, the more greater the challenges you will take on, and greater will be the reward. Really, 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 really try and solve problems you take on, because the more capable you become, the more greater the challenges you will take on, and greater would be the reward. So, a quick recap and we'll wrap up everything. First scenario, good student, struggling to get a job, just keep on getting bounced. Find a job, any job, but it should be decent, should be within your code of ethics, nothing mischievous or fraudulent. Number two, don't wait for perfect conditions. Start every single day learning, building some form of value, so that when it's time for you to be interviewed, you actually sound like you know your stuff, because you know your stuff. Number three, be serious about your thing. Block out time in your calendar, show up every day, practice, practice. If you can, build in public, share your progress. You never know who might see it. Number four, know why you are setting goals in the first place. Remember, who you think you are influences how you behave. So make sure that you have your identity really dialed down, because you are building everything from there. Number five, you are where you are for a reason. So do whatever is required of you. I know right now, oh sorry, so lesson 4, 5, and 6 is linked to somebody who is currently at the workplace and they want to leave. They feel underutilized, they feel like they're wasting their time. Okay. So number five, you are where you are for a reason. Do whatever is required of you for your best, to the best of your ability. Sorry, and be building your project on the side until it's strong enough to stand on its own. And the number six, really master the process of problem solving, because you need it if you leave and start your own business, or if you go and work somewhere else. Most businesses that are doing really well can see through somebody who is faking and lying. So if you legit, you know how to solve the problem, you will stand above everybody. And if you combine the video strategies I give you, Charlie, it will be amazing. All right. So the resources mentioned, I think maybe later, No Ordinary Life can share this with you. But basically, these are some of the resources that I mentioned. Yeah. Yeah, I think for the last one, I didn't mention that, but then that's fine. Maybe if we have a bit more extra time, I can talk about that. But I think at this point, I will take in and answers. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope it has been very helpful. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Eli. That was very, 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 very packed.
You're welcome.
Yeah, a lot a lot to gain from that. And so I hope people will take the time to watch this again and then just take the whole information in. So we looked at two scenarios: the graduate who's looking for work and the meaningful work, let's say, and then the employed who knows that they have more to offer, but maybe their job is not really utilizing their skills and experience. So take the time to watch this video after. We have a few comments which I'm going to share. And thank you to those who joined recently. So I'll start from this one here. Gloria says, Jesus is the life model. So yeah, when you mentioned about Jesus and the carpenter, Jesus given 100%. So we need to emulate him as Christians and also give 100% and the spirit of excellence. So Christine says, there's no such thing as coincidence. Everything is according to God's plan. Very true. If you're living the life and committing things into God's hands, then it's not coincidence. But I have a question about that. What if sometimes it's a mistake because you didn't do what you're supposed to do, and so what you're going through is actually more of what's the word, repercussion of something that you did.
Repercussions.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess yeah.
Awesome. Good. So I often wonder about the story of Joseph. Okay. If you look at the story of Joseph, it's really amazing how he ends up in the pit, and it all looks like a mess. Like how was he supposed to end up in the pit? And then he ends up in the palace, and then he goes back to prison, and then it's like it looks like mistakes all over the place. But eventually, he becomes a very pivotal piece in the exodus of the Israelites and the genealogy of Jesus and everything. So that's when I came to realize that, like, even in your mistake, like God can reroute you. Like he can reroute you it because he knows all possible outcomes. He knows all possible paths. Like you can't catch him by surprise. Like, oh my goodness, my creation did something I didn't even expect. Like that's not that's not gonna happen. So even if you do a mistake, yeah, you ask for repentance, get back on path, get back on the path because the further you stray, I feel like the longer you're going to take. So it's a mistake. Yeah, it's a mistake. Why did I do this mistake? Is it? And sometimes, so to just wrap it up very quickly, we do the best with what we know at the time. That is it. We do the best with what we know at that time. And that is it. But so now the question is whenever you have to take a decision, you're taking a decision based on some information you have. That's why I'm always like stuff yourself up with scripture, stuff yourself up with best practices that actually produce the results you want. So whenever you have to take a decision, you are pulling from trusted sources that work. You're not like oopsie, oopsie, that But you eventually make mistakes along the way. But then, yeah, the short answer to the question is God would reroute you if you, yeah, He will reroute you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Very, very true. God is merciful and He's a good God. So definitely, He won't let you suffer. Doesn't want His children to suffer. And Edmund says,
Yeah.
do it for God and not man. Thank you, Edmund. And Gloria just repeated what he said. There's a message in the mess. Too good of a message. Very true. And a question here from Gifty. She says, what is the most simple goal with results a person without financial means can set? So what is the most simple goal with results? Yeah, I guess, if you understand that one. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Let me just sip some water real quick. Sorry, thank you. Good. So that's a question I used to ask myself a lot. And what I came to realize is that, like, back then I used to really worry a lot about money. Like, I need money for this, I need money for this, I need money for this. Like, money, money. And that's when I understood the whole idea of, symptoms versus disease. Get really down to the main problem of this whole money worrying thing. And that's when I came to realize that we don't actually worry about money. We worry about the thing that we can't have because we don't have the money. Because think about this. If you had, let's say, a super rich uncle, and the super rich uncle says, calculate your monthly expenses for the entire year, send it to me. All right, I'll pay for everything. And they pay for everything, they send you the receipts of everything. All of a sudden, you realize that you are no longer going to be worried about those things because they've been paid for. But physical cash never landed into your account. I don't know if that makes sense. So, for your situation, what you need to realize is that you need to get very clear on how much you need every single month. That's like the basic starter. Other than that, there will always in the back of your mind always being, financial means low, financial means are low, financial means are low. But you've never actually sat down to ask yourself, how low are the financial means, or what are even up my financial means? So that's the very first goal you need to set. Find out how much you spend on a monthly basis. All right. For me, the app I use is called Spending. Spending is on the it's like some brown wallets. But I'm sure there's so many apps there on the App Store. Spending, track how much you spend every month. For about 2-3 months, you're getting an average of how much you spend. Then the very first thing you can do is say, okay, fine, let me save up money for half of the month. So let's say if we are in January, you want to make sure that by the time January is ending, you have half of February's money. Okay, so this is for somebody I'm thinking is really strapped up with cash. But like the very first lesson I gave is gotta get a job, gotta get a job. So yeah, I don't know if that helps, but then yeah, know how much you're spending. Make sure you have enough for at least the next month, and please get a job, any decent job. That's a good that covers your basic living expenses, and then you can start becoming more creative from that point on. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Eli. And for the person who
You're
doesn't
welcome.
want to work, who not well, I wouldn't say doesn't want to work, but believes that they'll rather own their own business than work for someone. For that person who wants to do that, last week we had a talk with Randy Thompson's on Instagram, and he talked about feeling stuck as an entrepreneur. I can't say that word, entrepreneur. So those are for people who are just starting their business, thinking of starting a business. So we'll try and get the video onto YouTube for those people who don't have Instagram. So please watch out for that. It's a talk about how to, basically how to start a business. So it's on our Instagram. So you can follow our Instagram and you'll see it on our profile. So yeah, just to add to that, because also working for yourself is a way of making money. And of course, if you have, if you know your purpose, and you feel like you are the one supposed to kind of drive that purpose, I mean, go ahead. If you feel like this is for me, then go ahead. But as Eli said, do make sure that the goal that you have, and also you've gained experience of problem solving, because you need that when you go, when you start your own something. So yeah, that's just something to add for you, Gifty. If you're thinking of starting a business, please watch our video on that one. And Christine said as well, be a problem solver, definitely. And again, don't wait for perfect conditions to start. Very important. Very, very important. Some people are waiting, but things are not going to be perfect all the time. So just do it, as Nike said. And then I think, is there any questions? Let's go for this question. A comment. Michael says, shortcuts will cut you short. You must go through the process. Challenges prepare for the big one. Finally, look up to Jesus. He's the author and finisher of everything. Very, very true. Very, very true. So yes, thank you all for your comments. I don't see any further questions, but I do have a question. I do have more questions, Eli.
Sure.
So I'm going back to the first scenario of a graduate who's looking for work. And you mentioned that have the code of ethics. For yourself, it's quite personal, but for yourself, can you give us like maybe 2 or 3 of the items that were on your code of ethics, for as an example for someone who's
Okay.
thinking of having a code of ethics?
Okay, very good. All right, so the first one is honesty. That's something that I'm really big on, honesty. And I know that people throw honesty around a lot, but I'm very big on it. I'm very serious about it, because I've come to realize it's not about just being, maybe let's say, all righteous and all good and all that. But when you're working with dishonest people, it's very hard. It's very hard. You have to be thinking for them. Are they lying? Are they telling the truth? It's just not a space you want to be in. So the first thing is honesty, because this is what I found out about honesty. I even wanted to record a video about this later. It can boost your productivity like crazy. You're probably wondering, like, Eli, how is honesty to productivity? Honesty, I find honesty as being truthful to yourself and to other people. If you know that you can't lie, if you tell somebody, "Oh, I'll get the project to you by Tuesday," you know you can't lie that when it's Tuesday and the project is not ready, you can't come up with an excuse or a lie. You make sure that you do and that's something I realized personally. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I realized that the moment I start becoming very truthful, when I said Tuesday, I had to check my calendar and make sure that, can I get this thing done by Tuesday? So that's the first thing, honesty. Okay, it makes life a whole lot easier. You just become more productive and people trust you more. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is integrity. Okay, so that's basically, if nobody's watching you, are you still going to do what you are going to do? Okay, so let me give a silly example. So my wife, like this, she warned me that I shouldn't use the metallic spoon for the rice cooker. So there was a time when I was at home and I was alone, and I picked the metallic spoon. I was going for the rice cooker, and I was like, first I was like, she's not here. I was like, no, Eli, you're a person of integrity. So I put it down. I took the wooden ladder and I used it. So that's just a silly example, but then that's just something I want to be like, nobody's watching. But I always tell myself that God is watching. And I told Chloe that is that Claudia, is that if a lot of people feel like when they do something bad, God has seen them. So why is that when you pray, you think that God has not heard you? So for me, I believe He's always watching me. So that's the second thing, that integrity. Okay, that's very important. And so the first one is honesty. The next is integrity. And for the third one, I would say, actually, I wrote these three down, but then you don't worry. For the third one, I would say it should be being on time. Being on time. It's a hard thing to do, but then it's important that you realize that we'll not be here forever. And all of these things that I share, these honesty, integrity, they are based on lessons. So I just realize that we'll not be here forever. I don't know anybody on the call here who knows anybody who's 200 years old or 150. We'll not be here forever. So time is passing. So when somebody tells you that, oh, let's be here at this time, know that they're giving you a portion of their life that they're never going to get back. So that's the third thing, that take your time is your life. So serious about how you manage your time. Yeah. And maybe the bonus is, yeah, purpose over everything. All right.
Okay, so for that one, if for the code of ethics, you need to know. On that point, you need to know what your purpose is, roughly what your purpose is. Not, I guess,
Yeah.
not the detail, but what the purpose is. And so, based on the first scenario as well, I noticed that what you mentioned had a lot to do with, motivation, self-motivation. Also had to do with discipline. The things that you mentioned had to do with discipline, practicing a lot, showing people, showing yourself that you could do it, and also showing others that you are serious. It has to do with discipline, has to do with self-motivation. Sometimes people don't have people in their life who are, I guess, even looking out for them. No one really cares if you do well. No one really cares how you get on. But I guess what I can say is, for yourself, did you have someone that was always encouraging you, motivating you, kind of telling you, I see something in you, like, do this, did you have a mentor, a coach, a cheerleader? Did you have that in your life?
Okay. So
Oh, I think Eli just got cut off. He should be back soon. Okay, he's back now.
they say my connection was lost. Okay, good.
Okay.
Am I back?
Yes, you are.
I'm back. All right, cool.
Yes, you are.
So yeah, so what I was saying was that, so for me, I would say it was different phases of my life, because the question is quite broad. I've not really shared much about myself, but then there've been various stages of my life, from academic to certain addictions to um, entrepreneurship to marketing. So each had various things, but then I'll just do a quick thunder round. So I'll say for school, maybe let's say 2007 to 2011 was my housemaster in senior high school, Mr. Ejay Sapon. So what I realized, that even though he was not directly coaching me, he always spoke to me in such a way that it made me feel like he really respected and regarded me. So I always wanted to live up to that, image. And I was house perfect of my house, and I won some award in Form 1 to that. Yeah, anyway. But he always made me feel like, yeah, you're a good guy. So meet that identity. So that was some form of indirect mentoring that I had. So that was it. The second one too, I'll say it was of a colleague in school. He came from a very, very, very difficult background. But I realized that everything that he did, probably that's why I picked that thing from, he did it so well. If they asked him to weed, he would sharpen the cutlass with a stone and water. He would weed his plot, he would gather it, and it's like his work was always exceptional. And I was like, I want to be like that guy. So I really, really, that's something I picked from him. So you can also get, inspiration from people around you. So that would be for academics. Um, then entrepreneurship, my personal development coach, Richard Akita, who is still in my life, he also has a similar, aura of Eli, you're a really great guy, so everything you do has to live up to that standard. So it's like, you have that in the back of your mind that, people are, somebody's watching you and expecting you to be a peak performer wherever you do. So I'll say those are the three people so far that have had some kind of mentoring or coaching in my life. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing. So, I mean, you had people in
Welcome.
your life that you were able to draw from right from your school years. So you were able to develop some, or value some characters that you wanted to see in yourself as well. So that's very important. So
Exactly.
don't really look at what people are doing. Pick people in your life that you have seen do things for pick people from your life and then use them as an example for how you're going to, I guess, live your life. And then I guess in terms of graduate again, because I'm very, very passionate about, finding first employment. That seems to be, a struggle. In terms of graduate again, what were you doing while you were waiting for your first paid role?
Okay. So my story is interesting actually, but I'll keep it short because I always say that I went the reverse route. Most people work at a job for a couple of years and then they'll start their own thing. I started my own thing for a couple of years, then I went to get two jobs. Yeah. So before I got those two jobs, I had built a body of work and a body of skill. So when I now interviewed, that's what I was talking about. That I was so knowledgeable and so skilled at the interview that I got both jobs both the same day at the same time. So for for I'll say that body of work. I have that body of work. So the question is, what should they? Okay, what did I do? Sorry, what did I do? So what I did basically is I broke down. So that's what I showing that you need to break down things and find out what really matters the most and solve the problem. I broke down the simple, and I do this thought exercise a lot. I really urge a lot of people to do it. Simply ask yourself, what matters most here? So I ask myself, when it comes to getting a job, why would somebody hire me? What matters most here? I kept asking myself several times, okay, then the first thing that came to mind is number one, they want to see that I can do the work. Okay, how can they see that I can do the work? If I show them work I have done, then maybe they can see that I can do the work. Okay, that part. Then I also realized that so if there's a body or an organization that has certified that I can do the work, it also helps me. So I was like, cool. So I need a core organization to certify that I have skills. Then I should actually show results of that skill that I have. Okay, so so I started a course on Udemy on digital marketing for like $10. That was my CV. Okay. Then I had um, several campaigns that I had run for my own brand, selling my book on academic excellence. So I talked about how I built landing pages, the sales copy that I wrote, the lead generation, the ebooks, the number of people who joined, you know, and there was evidence for that. You could go to YouTube to find it. You could see my book. If you wanted a screenshot, I could show you a screenshot of my tag, the amount of money that I had made. So there was evidence for me learning how to build a sales and marketing funnel and actually doing it and getting results. So I had a body of work, and I had, Udemy is like $10, and I had then some form of certification or training. So it's not like, hey, why did the thing just drop from heaven on you? So yeah, those are the two things that I did.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
just show them. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, good one there. I feel like for you self-motivation was you're easily able to motivate yourself to do something. So I guess that's something that people need to get in the habit of, not to wait for things and just think like, how write a list down. What can I do while I'm waiting for this? And Gifty also says, while you wait, gather knowledge. Very, very important. Do like a free online course. There are like loads of different course providers. Allison, Udemy is one of them, but you said $10. I guess some of the courses might be free, but try and do something. And then in terms of maybe waiting for your dream job, maybe try and find a job that's maybe easy to get into, maybe like a teaching job, sort of thing. If that's, I don't know how accessible it is, but if that's something that you're able to do while you're waiting, that could be something as well. But I think, being self-motivated and really having to sit down and reflect is a skill that people sometimes lack. Sometimes people are waiting for people to tell them, give them advice. You can do this, you can do that. But it's very important that as young people, as human beings, we're able to sit down and think, pray about it, and then listen to what you're getting back. And then also from the question that you mentioned, Gifty, I think it's also very important that you also pray about it. Ask God, like, what can I do? I don't have the financial resources to do this, but what can I do? It just reminds me of the story in the Bible, the widow, and then she, God spoke through, say, Elijah or Elisha, and said, go and ask for, oil. And then that was how it started. So always ask God. He knows where the answer is. So pray to God, ask him for what to do, and he will make provision for it. So that's just something else to add to that. I have many questions, but I don't want to go over time. I'm sure we'll have another chance to maybe do some kind of shorter follow-up after this. But it's been a very, very insightful session. I'd like to thank everyone
I'm
for
humbled. I'm honored.
Yes, you have to have another one, Eli. And just everyone, all the illustrations that you saw, animation illustrations, the pictures that you saw, graphics that you saw, was made by Eli. So round of applause, guys. So the works speak for themselves. He's very, very good. He's very, very good at what he does. And so please follow him on LinkedIn and also on YouTube. What's your page on YouTube again?
It's Inkman
Inkman
Workshop. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put that in the comments section. Inkman Workshop.
Maybe
I have another question, Eli.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sure.
Instagram is.
Yeah, that's Inkman.illustrator. So I think with the Instagram, they can get some more visuals to look at. Yeah, in case maybe they want to get some courses for their presentations or their project marketing. If they visit my Instagram, the link in bio will just redirect them to the online marketplaces where I sell my stuff, and then they can do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And I have a question and comment at the same time, I guess. One of them. Sure. I feel like it's easier for people with a creative degree. It's easier for them to start their own something, because you're a graphic designer, you're an IT something, you can start your own business. But for people whose jobs are like, office based, it's a bit tougher, like an accountant, you've been studying accountancy, finance, business something, and maybe you've gotten all the theory, but you need the practical. I think that's where the challenge is, that there are certain jobs that are certain courses that equip you with practical skills, where others you have to you learn all the theory and then you have to rely on a job to give you the practical side of things.
Exactly. So for that crossed my mind before, and I think that it comes back to that thing where you have to show that you have such a depth of knowledge that you can still execute to the point where they might not need to hold your hand so much. Like you need to show that you are really good. That's what the last resource I left is called "So Good They Can't Ignore You." It's a book. So in your case, if you're an accountant, okay, what if you were to be employed? What kind of job would you be doing? Is it possible to find accounts of a fictional or a made-up company and do your analysis, do your ledgers, do your balances or whatever, take snippets of it and share it on YouTube? Okay, so and it's like sometimes this is what I think about it. You should get a reward for your rejections. This is what I mean. If you send that video out or you're sending that video out and you are getting no, at least the video is on YouTube, it's getting views, it's getting monetized. You're also advertising your skill sets. So it's like you should try and kill a lot of birds with one stone. All right. You're also learning how to sell, you're learning how to talk. So, so quickly, let's say maybe you get some accounts or you can get some questions and answers, and then you show how you solve the problem on YouTube, and then when you're done, you share it. Okay. I think one area that crossed my mind that I think will be tough is with, let's say, medicine or being a doctor, because you can't go and get somebody and chop them up and then start, you know,
Yeah.
recording YouTube videos. So for that, what came in mind basically is if you have the knowledge, okay, then and it'll be hard for you to get hands-on experience. From what I know, they do what is called housemanship or something where they are posted to a place to work. All right. But if there's this rare case where you're not given the opportunity to have practical first-hand experience, you can still go online, get some 3D free 3D models of the human anatomy, start a YouTube channel, be describing disease, their like diagnosis and stuff. But then you can have a disclaimer at the beginning that all of these things should be taken as purely entertainment and not as and treatment. But like there should be evidence of you staying in the game. I don't know if that makes sense. So when you're adding that to your CV, you're like, oh, I also host a channel where I talk about how to common diseases and how to diagnose them. Okay, you go and check it out. You have like 60, 70 episodes, and you realize with each episode you're getting better. You're like, okay, and you stand out. The whole idea is like you want to stand out. There's so many people you're competing with. You want to stand out. So those kind of things will help you stand out in a more legit. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much. Yeah, very, very true. Yeah, I agree with you. The doctor, the nurse one, it's a bit more difficult to get the experience
Yeah.
without getting the job first. So yeah, as you rightly said, do that. I think we have 1 minute more till we end the stream, and no comments, no further
Aww.
comments. And I just have one further comment for myself. In terms of that one, you can also find friends or family members with an establishment or business that you can practice your skills in. If you studied accountancy, you can find a family member of a business and offer to be their accountant or something. You can volunteer to do that where you don't get paid. But if you also feel confident enough in your skills, you can ask for a small fee. Um, if that's an option, if you feel comfortable with that. And then also volunteering in general is also an option. Volunteering with NGOs, non-governmental organizations, schools is also an option. So yes, that is it from me. Any further comments, Eli? Yes, you do.
Yeah, one last thing. This thing just came to mind. I realized that the incubators, accelerator programs, they usually have I just found out recently. They usually have a job board. So if a new startup has just got some funding, usually startup have open roles, and those kind of jobs they usually don't get posted on LinkedIn and stuff. So for example, if you visit ycombinator.com, they have a job board. You know, most of the VC firms, Techstarts pioneered that app. They have a job board for jobs that have opened up in the startups that are being funded. And those jobs, you don't usually find them out there. So that's somewhere you can also look,
Okay.
startup accelerators, look for their job boards, and you might find something good. Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. And I think I missed
You're welcome.
your IG is inkman.illustrator, right?
Exactly. You got
Okay.
it. Got it.
Okay. So if you wanted to check out more of his graphics, you can go on Instagram. You can go on inkman.illustrator and you find it there. And then his YouTube, I've put it in the chat. So it's Inkman Workshop. And professionally, he's on LinkedIn as Eli T Nartey, and also as well on Instagram as Eli T Nartey. And I think I found you on Facebook as well. So yeah,
I'm
as the same
everywhere.
name. You're everywhere on Twitter, everywhere.
I'm on
So
Twitter too.
yeah, everywhere, everywhere.
uh,
TikTok, Snapchat.
no, no, I'm the ink workshop is on TikTok, but I'm not actively posting. I'm still
Oh,
observing the platform and
oh
how to
yeah,
how to create appropriate content for that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's been a really great talk. There's more,
I'm,
there's more.
I'm
I feel like
so
there's
glad to
more to
hear that.
cover. So maybe another day we'll have
Yeah.
to do a part two. A part two,
Sure. Sure.
and
Sure.
maybe with your graphics, we can even talk about something to do with your graphic. The the arty
The creative
visual arts.
skill sets.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Creative field. So I'll leave it here for now. I'll thank everyone for joining. I can't mention all your names, but everyone that I know for my family, friends, and also Eli's family as well. I think I saw your wife. She was the first to join. So, um,
Nice.
so shout out to the wifey and the friends, family and friends as well.
Woo-hoo.
And yes, thank you for tuning in to No Ordinary Life. And see you soon again. See you again, everyone. Bye from us.